Hello everyone, we have to discuss about that. Task number 1 देख लेते हैं. Vajiram Test. Which of the following are essential function performs by other constitution in other democratic polity? इसके 4 ऑप्शन है. It is facilitate trust and the coordination among the deserved section of society. It is ensure daily quality, clarity, accountability and balance among the difference and balance of government, and it is imposes limitation on the authority of the government, and the argued the aspirations and of the pupils and for the just and the equitable society. Select the correct answer. D is correct. क्या हम इसमें डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटी की बात हो रही है यहाँ पर. D is correct. Question number 7 देख लेते हैं. The principle of rule of laws as the reflected in and the Constitution of India implies and that. Option number 1. The state can enact laws granting immunities to certain public officials from the judicially scrutiny in matter of governance. All the individuals, including those in the authority, are equal subject to the laws of the land and are the accountable before the ordinary courts. The legislatures may the overrides fundamental rights and through the ordinary legislations if public interest so demand. The executive can suspend legal procedures and hold oversight during emergencies in the national interest. Rule of law. The state can enact law granting is correct. Question number 3 देख लेते हैं. Consider the following statement with reference to the Constitution Assembly of India. It is compositions was based on the recommendation of the cabinet mission. Each the provinces was allotted seats proportional to its respective populations. Members from the British provincial were elected by the method of the proportional representation with the single transformation votes. कैबिनेट मिशन रिकमेंडेशन बेस्ड ऑन कैबिनेट मिशन फर्स्ट सही है. ये फर्स्ट सिंगल फेडरल बोर्ड नो ईच एंड द प्रोविंस आर अलोकेट सीट प्रोपोर्शनल टू इट. फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड. सी इज करेक्ट. Consider the following statement with reference to the Indian polity. Unlike legal rights and fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution, unlike and legal rights and fundamental rights can only be modified by other constitution amendment. Fundamental rights are absolute in nature. Second and third fundamental right are absolute in nature. C, third is correct. Consider the following statement. The maximum strength of the legislative council in state is fixed at one-third of the total strength of the assemblies, and the minimum strength is fixed at the 40. The resolution for the abolition or creation of the legislatures councils in other states must be the passed and by the state assembly of respective states and by the special majorities. An act of the parliament for the abolitions or and the creation of the legislations council in states and deems and as an to the constitution for the purpose of articles 368. Which of the following giving above are correct? Is correct. The Constitution of India provides the right to the convert another persons to one's and one's the religious and by the transmissions and the disseminations of one and the religion belief to others. Articles 25 of the Constitution of India says that all persons are equally and entitled and to the freedoms of the conscience and the rights to the freely profess, practices and propagation religion. Which one of the following statement are correct? First and second is correct. Second statement is correct, and Second is correct. D is correct. Consider the following: written constitution, independent judiciary, single citizenships, appointment of the governor, and how of the above are federal, and the features of the Constitution of India only. The vice president acted as the president and when there is other vacancies in and the office by the reason of death of the president, designation of the president, impeachment of the president. Select the correct answer is the impeachment of the president. Vice president acting as the president when there is other vacancy in the office of by the reason of impeachment of the president, resignation, impeachment, death of the president, resignation of the president. Third vacancies, third three are possible. In India, which one of the following best characteristic the permanent executives? Elected representative responsible for the elected legislation, judicially authority insulted, entrusted with in the interpreting constitutional provision, bureaucrats responsible for formulating and implementing government policies, expert and consultant appointed to assign in policy research and project implementations. Elected representation A. इधर आ जाओ, इधर इधर आओ, इधर गर्मी आ रही है उधर. Consider the following statement: a board of no confidence. No confidence against even an and the individual minister result in the resignation of the entire council of minister. The council of minister is collectively responsible to the parliament, the Lok Sabha. Which one of the following is correct and respected of the above statement? First and second and third is correct. Second correct. Is correct. Which of the following and provisions are the part of the direct principle of the state policy in the Constitution of India? Uniform civil code, development of scientific tempers and humanization and the spirit of the inquiries and reforms among the citizens, promotion of cottage industries on corporation basis, provision for just and humane condition of work, separation of the judiciary from the executive. Please correct. Consider the following: in Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh. How many of the above and the state in the India have and the bicameral legislations? All the five. Is correct. Consider the following statement regarding the adversary jurisdictions of the Supreme Court of India. The Prime Minister of India may refer to the Supreme Court any matters of the public importance or involving the interpretation of the Constitution and for its and the opinion. The Supreme Court under its and the adversary jurisdictions is not bound to give its advice. Which of the following statement are correct? First and second is correct. Consider the following statement: the 73rd Constitution Amendment Act of 1992 and made other provision for the mandatory creation of the Gram Sabhas members at all the three and the levels of Panchayat Raj institution are elected directly by the pupils. If the state government dissolve the Panchayat before the end of its 5 and the years terms and fresh election must be the held and within the 6 months of the such and the dissolutions. One third of the position in all the Panchayat institution are reserved for the women. Only two. Consider the following: banking, public health, post and telegraph, prisons and cyber laws. How many of the above are the union list and under the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India? Which one of the following statement is correct regarding the federals and the distributions of power in India during the national emergency under the Article 352? The normal distribution of the legislature power in between the center and the state is not supported. The president assumes direct controls and over the administrations of all state. The parliament is empowered to make laws or any subject mentioned in the state list, and the assembly of the state is automatically and dissolved. B. Consider the following various types of the writ: descriptions and habeas corpus, and to release other person and from the unlawful and the detentions. Mandamus to लगा दो, गेट लगा दो, मच्छर आ जाएंगे. Mandamus to the restaurant other subordinated code and from the act sightings and its and the jurisdiction. Cartiorari, Cartiorari and to and the cues and orders and passed by other lowers and the court or the tribunals. Q and the warrant. लग गई. हाथ में लग गई, बता ना. इधर बैठ जा. The poor warrant to and to direct the public and of the financial and to the perform their the lawful duties. How many of the above pairs are correctly matched? Only two. These correct. Which of the following are the judicial powers of the governors of either state, and she is consulted and by the president while the appointing the judges of the state high court, and she makes appointed and postings and the promotions of the district judge in the consultation with the state high court, and she can and the commune the sentence of anyone and the convicted under other law and within the state and executive jurisdiction. Select the correct answer using the code given below. First, second, third D is correct. I shall strive for the constitution and which will and the release India's and from India from all and the thrace storms and patronage. I shall works and for and the Indias in which the poorest and shall feel that it is there's the countries in whose the makings and they have and the effective voice, and Indias in which and cells there shall be no the high class and low class of the peoples, and Indias in which all communities shall live in perfect harmony. This vision of the inclusive and participatory democracy and was articulated by Jawaharlal Nehru, B.R. Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose. And Subhash Chandra Bose is arrange the following events in chronological order: signing of and the Maastricht and treaties, and leading to and the formation of the European Union, established of the BRICS as other formals and groupings, formation of the World Trade Organization, Brexit, and referendums in and the United States. Select the correct answer. Use the code given below. And second, third, fourth, first A is correct. With reference as to the types and of the goods in and the economics, and consider the following statements: and steel seed and for the manufacturing of the cans and integrated goods, cloth for the schools uniform consumptions goods, and factory machine capital goods, and tea leaves at the restaurant final goods. How many of the above statement are correct? Only the 4 is correct. Consider the following statement: export of the electronic items are made by the Indians firm. The total stocks of the goods and present in the inventories of the firm and inflation, total outstanding debts to the foreign country. How many of the statements are correct? Only three is correct. C is correct. Consider the following statement: and all capital goods and produced in either years and aid to the exciting stocks of capital in the economic a portion of the capital goods and produced each years goes for the replacement of exciting capital goods. Which of the following statement are correct? Capital goods and first and second is correct, and second not correct. Explanation of
मामी दूध चाहिए दूध दूध चाहिए
okay, okay, okay,
चाहिए दूध
okay.
चाहिए
Consider the following scenario: a car company is then owned by other country X. The operation other large manufacturing facilities in country Y, and to determine the incomes N by the factors and of the production owned by the country Y and the profits N and by the country X. Owned car factories and must be and the subtracted from and the country Y and GDP. Microeconomics variation and that account and for such and the adjustment and addition and the subtraction based on the ownership of factor of production is known as the gross domestic production. Net over microeconomic GDP. GDP, gross domestic production, GDP. These are correct. 1 minute, 1 minute, child. Consider the following statement: GDP and deflation in India. Unlike the consumers and price index and CPI, the wholesale price index WPI and the GDP deflation includes all the domestic and produced goods and services. Unlike the GDPs and the deflation, both WPI and the CPI do not the adjust and for the consumption of the behaviors. First and second is correct. And first is correct.
चाहिए दूध चाहिए दूध चाहिए दूध